It's the Lions Hangover, everybody. I'm Brad, and this is a shirt that's too tight for me. Let's talk about Sunday's game.
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
And then the flag that was thrown on this was picked up.
I don't know, did it get the face mask?
So by rule, the game is over.
The Lions Hangover.
So after a strong start, the Lions end up losing 38-35 to the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. They got off to a really good start. The second play of the game, DeAndre Swift busted one loose for a 50-yard run, and then they finished that drive off with a 1-yard touchdown run by Jamal Williams. And I have to say, I love the second effort on that play. If you watched it, it was pretty good. But there was a lot of things that went wrong for the Lions, even though the score was so close. First off, we've got to talk about Jared Goff. He was inconsistent the entire game. There were lots of overthrown balls, very inaccurate. At times, he was able to connect with some of his receivers. He did finish with 215 yards. He was 21 out of 37, and he had a quarterback rating of 80.3. So that's right in the middle of what you want your quarterback to be, but it wasn't enough. It was one interception, a couple questionable coaching decisions with the onside kick shortly after halftime. I'm happy that the Lions were able to compete, but they got to work on a lot of stuff. Goff has to get better if they're going to win. But I don't think that he was the reason that they lost. I think the reason that they lost was Jalen Hurts. The defense could not contain Jalen Hurts. He threw for, 243 yards, but he ran for 90 yards with one rushing touchdown. Overall, the run defense was a little bit of a problem, and it was mostly because of Jalen Hurts. His ability to scramble, it just baffled the Lions defense. It wasn't until the fourth quarter where I feel like they finally started to grasp the concept that he was probably going to run out of the pocket. Miles Sanders for the Eagles also had 96 yards and a rushing touchdown. So overall, the defense has to step up with the run protection or the run stoppage. So let's talk about some of the bright spots on offense, though. DeAndre Swift finished with 144 yards rushing, I believe, on 15 carries, which is about 9-point-something yards per carry. When you've got a guy averaging 9 yards a carry, you should be seeing him run the ball 20 to 25 times. I feel like that was one of the bigger problems, especially in the first half when the game was a little bit closer. You want to chew up the time of possession a little bit more. At least that's what I would have done. Swift was on fire. Of course, he had the big run, but even without the big run, he still would have been 14 carries and 90 yards. So that's a really good day. So he should be getting the ball more. I do feel like Jamal Williams probably should have been put in a few more situations other than just short line or, third and one, goal line stance. Like, he's a powerful runner. You got to give him a little bit more opportunity as well. Passing-wise, St. Brown finished the day with 8 receptions and 64 yards. It seemed like he was catching everything when the ball was thrown accurately. But he was mostly a check down guy, it seemed like. All of his passes were 6 yards, They didn't throw the ball deep hardly at all in the first half. So that was a problem. The offense did come alive in the second half, which is good. Chark finished with 4 receptions and 52 yards and a touchdown. It was an unbelievable catch in the end zone. Hockenson only had 4 catches and 38 yards, no touchdowns for him. You got to see him get more involved. This passing game could be a whole lot better. They have a better receiving core than they did a year ago, and they just got to be utilized better. The defense, like I was saying, could not stop Jalen Hurts. He didn't have any passing TDs, so I suppose that's good. Jeffrey Okudah had a strong day. He did have 7 solo tackles. Tracy Walker had 8 solo tackles and a sack, but then he was ejected after a late hit and throwing a punch on the sideline. So there was 2 back-to-back penalties. It was the throwing the punch, though, that got him kicked out. These are your defensive backs, though, and they led the team with tackles, and you don't want that to happen. Anzalone finished with 7 tackles as well, 7 solo tackles. I really liked what I saw out of Anzalone yesterday. There was a lot of hustle from him, and I have to say, John Kaminsky, number 79, he had a lot of hustle as well. Somebody that I've never even heard of before, honestly. He only had, I think he had 1 assisted tackle, but he was everywhere on the field, and he was in on the play a lot. So I liked what I saw from him. Hutchinson was kind of quiet, but it was an RPO offense, and I don't think that's something that he's quite used to playing against. He should have better luck next week when they take on the Commanders. It should be a much better day for him. Rodrigo, he finished with 4 tackles. Also a lot of hustle from him. I liked what I saw from him, and I feel like the future is bright. But that does not matter because you still have to be able to stop the run. You have to be able to stop the pass. And I don't think Philadelphia had to throw as much because they did have a commanding lead most of the game. And that's because they were able to control the line of scrimmage and run the ball. The offensive line for the Eagles did not disappoint. If you're a fan of them, they did a great job of protecting Hurts. Hurts did a great job of protecting himself. He threw the ball away multiple times. A few times was questionable intentional grounding, but the refs didn't feel that way, and it doesn't matter today anyway because it's all over. So next week, the Lions have the Washington Commanders, who have Carson Wentz, who threw for 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I know there's a lot of intimidation factor there, but I feel like he's not going to throw for 300 yards next week against the Lions. The Lions are going to be better than the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was amazing that they kept the game so close at the end. You always want to be entertained when you're watching football, and at least the Lions did that. It was not a blowout. Now, the Commanders as a team had 85 yards rushing, so I look for a stronger performance from the defense as far as stopping the run. I don't feel like the Commanders have a legit running threat. They don't pose a legit running threat. I don't think they pose as a legit passing threat, but that is going to be their strong point coming into Ford Field this Sunday. Their defense allowed 275 yards passing from Trevor Lawrence, and the Jags had a total of 121 yards rushing against the Commanders. So I think what that means is look for Swift to have another big day. Look for Jamal Williams to have another big day. I would say statistically, look for Goff to have a similar statistic day, maybe 2 touchdowns and an interception. I'm not saying it's going to be a pretty game from Goff, but statistically on paper at the end of the day, you should see 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, or 1 touchdown and no interceptions, or maybe 2 and 2, something like that. The Lions need to get better. It's only week 1. There's nothing to freak out about. I don't think anybody had the Lions winning the game against the Eagles. I know some people have called it a moral victory. You feel kind of good about the loss because there's lots of promising things, but I don't see lots of promising things necessarily. You got to be able to win the close games. So with that said, I see the Lions getting the win next weekend against Washington. It could be a close game. It could be a blowout. It could. I don't see Washington winning. If they do, it's going to be because, Goff just has a horrible game or he gets injured. So that's the way I see it. That's this week on the Lions Hangover. I will see you guys next week. I promise cool graphics and stuff next week. But I just don't have time for all that stuff this week. Make sure you find me on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube if you like watching. Great. This is what I look like. I'm sorry. If you like listening, this is the sound of my voice. So hopefully enjoy that, and I will see you guys next week.